Hello learners, warm welcome to this session on market segmentation, variables and determinants. Well, in the previous session, you have been introduced to the concept of market segmentation. You see, market segmentation, as you know, it is the division of a market of potential consumers into groups of smaller identifiable segments having similar wants and needs. A wider heterogeneous market here is divided into smaller homogeneous groups, each of which is expected to respond similarly to a marketing action. You have also learned about the various approaches which tourism enterprises they use for segmenting their market. And so in today's session, we will continue with the other important aspects of market segmentation. So after this session, you will be able to understand in detail the major variables for segmenting tourism markets. These are geographic segmentation, demographic, psychographic, behavioral, and price segmentation. You will also be able to comprehend the role of other additional determinants based on which tourism markets can be segmented. And then you will be able to list the advantages and the disadvantages or the limitation of market segmentation. There is no single way to segment the market. A marketer has to try different segmentation variables singly or in combination with the hope to find an insightful way to view the market structure. So let us now look at five major variables used for segmenting the potential consumers for tourism products and services. And like I've listed below, these are the geographical segmentation, the demographic segmentation, psychographic segmentation, then the behavioral segmentation, and the price segmentation. But here, one thing we have to remember is that each of these major variables, they are not standalone variables, but they are used together in various permutation and combination, depending again on the various factors like organizational objectives, the nature of product being offered, etc. And we will look at each one of them separately. Well, the first major base of segmentation is the geographic segmentation. Here, the market is segmented into various geographic entities like world regions, then country, state, city, towns, etc. So this is one of the simplest method of segmenting the market. Now, a company, it can decide to operate in one or a few geographical areas or operate in all, but pay attention to local variations in geographic needs and preferences. For the purpose of overseas marketing, tourism marketing, what the Ministry of Tourism Government of India has done is they have set up 8 overseas tourism offices with a demarcated jurisdiction area under each one of them. So these offices are, one is in Beijing in China, one is in Moscow, which is in Russia, Frankfurt in Germany, then we have one in New York, then Tokyo, another one is at Singapore, one is in London, and the next one is in Dubai. So under the Beijing office, the jurisdiction area includes mainland China, Hong Kong is there, Macau and Mongolia. The Moscow office, it looks after the Commonwealth of Independent States called as CIS and the Baltic countries, the former Eastern Bloc countries and Greece in Southeastern Europe. The Frankfurt office, it looks after Austria, France, Germany, Italy, Malta, Portugal, Spain and Israel, moreover the whole of Europe. The Tokyo office, it covers Japan, North and South Korea and Taiwan. The Singapore office, it covers Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, PDR, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, Australia, New Zealand, Fiji and the Pacific Islands. The London office, it covers Belgium, Ireland, Luxembourg, Netherlands and the UK. The New York office, it covers USA, Canada, Greenland, Central and South America, and the Caribbean islands. The Dubai office, it covers Bahrain, Egypt, Iran, Iraq, Jordan, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Lebanon, Qatar, Syria, Turkey, Cyprus, UAE, Yemen, and Africa. So these are the jurisdiction under each of these different offices, overseas tourism offices that we have. See, geographical segmentation, it is also done as per the nature of the tourism product. For example, mountain resorts will not be marketed in Switzerland because Switzerland have got lots of mountains of its own. But the mountains of India, it can be marketed in countries which have no mountains. Similarly, the desert safari of Rajasthan is marketed in countries like Germany, France, or UK, which have no deserts. So the situation is the same in the domestic tourism marketing also. For example, J&K Tourism will market its product in states like Gujarat or Madhya Pradesh and not in Himachal Pradesh, which have got a similar topography. So the intention of people going on a holiday, it is to experience something which is different from what they have encountered every day. They want to experience something which is unique, which they do not find in their home country or the home turf where they stay. So obviously they are looking for something different, and this is the reason why different culture or different something which is different from what they have attracts them. Further, due to language specialization, some concentrate in French-speaking market, German-speaking markets, or Japanese-speaking markets. And in certain cases, local tour operators, what they do is they determine their marketing plans and activities on the basis of the size of city's population. Say they are targeting for city which has got less than or under 1 million people, or 1 million to 3 million people, etc. Thus, in geographical segmentation, certain elements like the actual location, whether it is actual location, that is the geographical coordinates, or the nature of the location, whether it is an urban area or a rural area, etc. Language, climate, and the culture, they all play a very important role. Next, we have the demographic segmentation. In this case, the tourism market, it is divided into various groups, keeping in view the demographic variables. So what are the demographic variables? This includes age, gender, family size, the family life cycle, income, occupation, education, religion, race, nationality, etc. So the demographic segmentation is probably the one most frequently used method of market segmentation because of two reasons. One is because consumer wants, preferences, and the users rates, they are associated with demographic variables. And number two, this method is easy in measurement and interpretation of the data. For instance, India being a long-haul destination from most of the major markets like the Americas, Europe, or Australia, the travel to India is very much determined by income, age, education, and occupation. See, a typical segmentation of the European market for India is, we can see it as follows. Age, those between 25 to 59 years. Gender would be both male and female. Family size, 2 to 5 members. Then the family life cycle, single or married, but without children below the age of 14. Occupation, they are usually professionals, executives, business proprietors, civil servants, teachers, professors, etc. Education, higher secondary and above. Nationality, Germans, French, Italians, Dutch, Swiss, Spanish. So these are the type of profile that you have about the European market for India. Well, demographic segmentation, it is based on the idea that customers' buying behavior is very much influenced by his or her demographic. For example, say for an adventure tour operation company, The age and good physical mobility of potential tourists will be an important criteria for segmenting the market. Now, this is understandable since adventure activity will require a certain amount of stamina. Likewise, gender-wise market segmentation is relevant, say for example, in the case of a tour company specializing in all-women tour groups. Here they have the exclusive target base, which is women. Then again, we also know that income level decides one's affordability, and therefore the market for luxury tours will be tourists in the high income bracket. And it should be noted that tourists within the same demographic segment, they may have a different psychographic profile, and information about consumer psychographic or lifestyle factors. It adds richness to the demographic information because it attempts to explain why demographically alike people, they buy different products or require different message appeals to approach them. So let us see what are these psychographic elements, and we will discuss the psychographic segmentation now. Under this category of segmentation, the buyers, they are divided into different groups on the basis of their psychological makeup, like personality and lifestyle characteristics. So it is believed that the consumer buying behavior can be determined by his or her personality and the lifestyle. So the personality, it refers to traits and attitudes and habits of the individual. For example, using personality as the base of segmentation, the target for adventure sports related tourism product will be say tough and strong or adventure seekers only. Well, lifestyle, it means the way a person lives his life, and therefore based on interests, activities, beliefs and opinion of the individual, companies, they identify their target market. From the tourism marketing point of view, the need-driven segment have little apparent appeal since this very part of society lacks purchasing power as well as interest power. There are again other two types of consumer. One is the outer directed consumer and the inner directed consumer. The outer directed consumers, they are the most potential tourists, whereas the inner directed consumer are those people who in their lives they place far greater emphasis on their individual needs as opposed to the external values. Although in terms of overall number, this group represents only a very small part of the total market, but they are seen to be an important sector. Why? Because in terms of their ability to set tourism and travel trends. So it is this group which is currently showing the fastest growth rate within the society, while the number of need-driven consumers declines and the outer directed consumer, they remains the same. For example, those who go for Ayurvedic treatment tours are usually inner directed, and their numbers may be small but in the beginning, but these are the people who have set a trend for health tourism. Naturally, tourism marketers would like to identify those who are self-made, successful, socialite, mainstreamers, aspirers, innovator types, mainly the people whose opinion other people follow, because they are the one who are most likely to purchase tours to faraway countries and unexplored destinations. So tourists are segmented on a psychological basis with an idea that among certain type of tourists, there can be found some common attitudes. Say among the age group of 18 to 26 years, there may be some who avoid risks and want to have a vacation full of leisure. So such group will form one segment, while the other may consist of those who enjoy risk and they look for adventure. So such mental attitudes determine the buying pattern of the tourist, and hence arises the need for psychological segmentation. Let us look at the third type of or the third major variables of segmentation, which is behavioral segmentation. In this type of segmentation, the prospective buyers of tourism products are segmented on the basis of their knowledge, attitude, use or response to the tourism product. And a number of behavioral variables are used for market segmentation. Number one is occasions. See, buyers, they may be divided according to occasions for which they may need a product. For example, a person usually travels on an occasion concerning business, vacation, or family. Thus, we have segments such as the business tourist or the holiday tourist or the VFR, which is visiting friends and relative tourists. Sometimes the buyers are classified on the basis of critical events which marks life's passages, such as marriage, divorce, acquisition of home, injury, illness. It may be change in career, retirement, etc. So imaginative tour operators, what they do is they have created tour packages. Like we have the honeymoon tours, we have the wedding tourism. So for those who are getting married, or for those who are going for their honeymoon, then the natural therapy or Ayurvedic treatment tours for those who are looking for improvement of health after illness or stressful life, spiritual tours to ashrams, etc. for those who are looking for spiritual solace. Then another basis is benefit. Benefit segmentation, it identifies major benefits that the consumer look for in the product, or it identifies based on the kind of people who look for each benefit or major brands that deliver these benefits. And product, as you know, that is made up of three core benefit segments. One is the quality buyers. Here the quality buyers is more concerned by the product image and not with the cost. A service buyer would choose a product that provides a good service. In other words, they look for the best value for their money, and accordingly they want a service that matches the product. The third is the economy buyers. So in economy buyer, they would like to keep the cost down, when we call them as budget buyers also. So besides the benefits sought by the tourist, certain other associated characteristics, they also help in devising the marketing strategies. This includes user status. Now, tourists may be segmented as first-time visitors or repeat visitors, ex-visitors or potential visitors on the basis of the user status. Another one is users rate. So they may be segmented on the basis of the users rate. For example, airlines and hotels, they classify their clients as frequent travelers or less frequent travelers or one-time traveler. Then we have loyalty status. So loyalty describes the tourist preference for a particular product or service in spite of other tempting offers from competing companies or enterprises to shift to their products. So a company, what it should do is it should study the characteristic of its own hardcore loyals and devise marketing strategy to maintain their loyalty. For example, some airlines, they have frequent traveler programs in which they offer benefits like excess baggage allowance. You have a priority in check-in and then the priority in confirmation of seats or special waiting lounge for their frequent traveler clients. And we can describe loyalty in terms of degrees. First, we have the hardcore loyals, the softcore loyals, shifting loyals, and switcher. Let's see what are each one of these. Hardcore loyals, they are the ones exclusively devoted to a particular organization. The softcore loyals, those are those who may be devoted to two or more organizations. Shifting loyals are those who gradually move to favor one organization over another organization. Then we have the switcher, those who have no loyalty to any particular organization. They shift from one to another as per their requirements. So by studying the softcore loyals, a company can pinpoint which brands are most competitive for its own. Some airlines and hotels, they try to convert their softcore loyals into hardcore loyals by offering free mileage or free accommodation when they accumulate a certain number of mileages or night stays. So a company should also study consumers or customers who are shifting away from its brand, because that will give the company valuable insights into its product and marketing weaknesses. However, the effort should always be to treat every tourist as special and make him or her feel special in order to inculcate loyalties for the product. This is quite understandable. Then we have the buyer readiness stage, which is one of the behavioral segmentation criteria. At any given time, people are in different stages of readiness to buy a product. Smart marketers, they always know when to launch their product. For example, private domestic airlines in India, they started their service when they realized that domestic air travelers were in a readiness stage to travel by private airlines if an alternative to the then Indian airline services was available. And see, among the potential buyers, some of the buyers, they may be unaware of the product, some may be aware, some may be informed, some may be disinterested, not interested in it, some may be desirous but they are not aware of it, and some may be intending to buy. So there are different stages. And this distribution of prospective customers into stages of readiness helps in designing the marketing product. Then attitude. Customer in a market can be classified by the degree of enthusiasm for the product. They may be enthusiastic, positive, indifferent, negative, or hostile to the product which is there in the market. So if a company, it can correlate attitudes with demographic description, then it can increase its efficiency in locating the best prospects. For example, all tour operators and travel agents, they'll find it much easier to sell India tours to those who have an enthusiastic or positive attitude towards India. The last or the fifth major criteria or the variable for segmentation is the price segmentation. You see, price ranges, they often come handy in segmenting the tourism market. For example, there are those who are high spenders and are prepared to pay the high prices. They are described as up-budget tourists. Those who want to take a low-price vacation is another category. Those who want to take a moderately priced vacation is yet another category. So according to tourism experts, when deciding to market a new product or to enter a market for the first time, the producers, they have to make a fundamental strategic choice as to where on the prevailing price spectrum they should aim their marketing effort. It is this choice that largely determines which segments they will be dealing with, and has an immediate implication for the nature of the products they to be provided and the form of any promotion and distribution. See, price range communicates to the consumer the quality expectation of a product along with the producer's image. For example, if a tour operator intends to target high spenders tourists, the quality of the services he or she packages, it may be in terms of the hotel room, coach that they are going to provide, the guides and escort services, etc. They must match the quality of that price range. So far you have learned about the 5 major variables of market segmentation. Among them, geographic and demographic segmentation are easy to practice. For instance, a market can be divided easily on the basis of age, gender, income, or reason. So this segmentation basis, they are also called as the descriptive basis, which means the geographic and the demographic basis, they are called as the descriptive basis, because these variables, they are used to describe the consumer. Then behavioral and psychographic basis, they are much more difficult to use, because behavioral variables, they tend to be subjective constructs. Unlike the parameters of say demographic, like age or gender, the behavioral parameters, they are outside descriptors. They are rather manifestation of mental constructions, and they are very complex to study. For example, if you say categorization of people in a market on the basis of personality or loyalty, now this will require development of an appropriate measure and a complicated analysis. So this involves time and more research. That is why we say it is a much more in-depth study is required when you have to do psychographic and the behavioral type of segmentation. So these are the 5 segmentation variables that we have looked into so far. But in a dynamic sector like tourism, where trends are emerging, new trends are emerging, and the likes and dislikes of or the travel habits of the tourists are changing quite often, there are other determinants or other what you call variables which also influences the segmentation of the tourist market. Let us look at some of these additional determinants. The tourism market is also segmented on the basis of the travel habits of the tourists. So this includes number 1, distance traveled. Yet the tourists are classified as long-haul travelers, mid-haul travelers, or short-haul travelers on the basis of the distance that they travel. For inbound tourists coming to India, those from Europe or the United States, they are long-haul market segments because they have to cover a long distance if they have to reach India. Whereas tourists from Nepal or Bangladesh, which are our neighboring countries, and the distance to be covered by them are less, they are called as the short-haul travelers. Then another point is the duration of the trip. So tourists can be segmented as those who take short holiday breaks, say of 2 or 3 days, or those who take long trips of say about 20 days or a month or more. So those taking shorter holidays, usually they are not long-haul travelers, which means if people are coming from America or from Europe to India, they usually do not come for 2 or 3 days. They come for say about 15 to 20 days or maybe more than a month also. Then another criteria is the time of travel. See, tourists can be segmented as those who travel during summer holidays or winter holidays. In Europe, those who take long trips, they usually travel during the summer season since the vacation period is longer in summer than in winter. In India also, if you look at the northern states, the family with children usually they opt for long duration holidays during the school summer vacation. Then if you go to West Bengal during the Durga Puja, they have a longer holiday, so people usually travel during those times. Then the organization of trip is also another criteria for segmentation. Tourists are also segmented as individual or group tourists on the basis of organization of their trips. Some individual tourists, they ask travel agents to package their whole tour, but they will not be traveling independently without joining any group. Then there are tourists who may buy flight tickets only, and there are tourists who will buy the package for a limited period only, such as transfers on arrival, departure, hotel accommodation for first 2 nights only. So this may be luxury tours or economy tours. Travel motives is another basis. Tourists are classified on the basis of their motive to travel. So some may travel for the reason of curiosity, some for education, some for health, religion, sports, relaxation. So there are lots of motives for travel, so they can be segmented based on that. What happens is, here it must be noted that an organization can apply 1, 2 or more variables simultaneously for market segmentation. But for selecting the basis for segmentation, certain methods are useful, like intuition. This is the gut feeling which every one of us has. Then experience also counts. Market research. See, when one has the data and the information which market research generates, the more confident as well as higher the chances for a feasible marketing decision that can be made. Trial and error is another method that people use, and this is mainly related to learning from experiences. So at the same time, an organization, they should also assess its resources the size, the growth potential, capacity, risk, competition, infrastructure, and support system also. Now let us see what are the different advantages or the limitations of market segmentation. One of the major advantages is that it helps create stronger marketing messages. So because when you know whom you are talking to, you can develop stronger and more specific marketing messages which addresses the needs, wants, and unique characteristics of the identified segment. And market segmentation also leads to effective utilization of resources. It may be material resource, money resource, or human resource. It also allows marketer to modify his products and services and the marketing appeal to suit the target market, and gives higher prospects of converting the potential consumer to the actual ones. Market segmentation, again, it helps to build deeper connection with the consumer. The consumer, they can relate to the marketing efforts since they are often designed based on their specific needs. If you look at the limitation side, it can be seen that in market segmentation, the marketer's notion about the consumer is that the more we segment the market, the more clear and precise the consumer profile will be there. But sometimes such narrowly defined segments, it may leave fewer consumers in that segment. Thus, the segment itself may not be feasible anymore. Since a limited number of consumers, they will not be able to justify customized marketing efforts, which needs a lot of budget for that. So since a lot of research and study needs to be done while zeroing on a specific market segment along with defining specific characteristics, market segmentation is a time-consuming as well as an expensive process. Then yet again, another tricky situation is when characteristic of a market segment change, then the investment made already might become useless also. And like I said, this is especially true for a dynamic sector like tourism. Now let us sum up what we have covered so far. We have looked at 5 of the major variables for segmenting tourism markets. We have talked about geographic segmentation, demographic segmentation, psychographic, behavioral, and price segmentation. We have also looked at other additional determinants based on which the tourism markets can be segmented, and we have also touched upon a little bit on the advantages and the disadvantages of market segmentation. I hope your concept of market segmentation is more clear now. Thank you so much. See you in the next session.